Your host, SonGoshuaku here. Number 4, saving mankind on Monday Night Raw, January 4th, 1999. The mother of all Stone Cold entrance pops. Because just when it looked like Vince McMahon's corporation was about to have their way again, out comes Stone Cold Steve Austin getting into the ring, then bam, sickening chair shot to the Rock's skull, puts mankind on top of the Rock to let him score the 1, 2, 3, thus leading Mick Foley to his first world title win. This was some top tier peak level Attitude Era stuff. The visuals of Vince McMahon's hatred and Stone Cold smugness, knowing he just got one over his boss, just made the moment that much more better. In terms of all-time Monday Night Raw moments, this is arguably number 1. In terms of all-time Stone Cold pops, once again, this is arguably number 1. However, in terms of this list, it makes number 4, because the moment was truly more about Mick Foley, so it only made sense for Steve Austin's physicality in this segment to be limited to just one single chair shot, unlike in our next 3 entries. Number 3, saving The Rock from the McMahon Helmsley Regime at Backlash 2000. When just the announcement of Linda McMahon stating the name Stone Cold Steve Austin gets a huge pop, you know it's going to be something special. And special it was when the McMahon Helmsley Regime nearly had The Rock defeated. The glass shatters, and out comes Stone Cold Steve Austin, fresh from 6 months of recovering from spinal fusion surgery with a steel chair in hand. He then proceeds to kick Triple H in the gut, then bam, chair shot to Triple H's back, chair shot to Pat Patterson's skull, and turns around to another chair shot to Gerald Briscoe. Gets in the ring, and then bam, chair shot to Shane O'Mac's skull. And of course, when it's the Attitude Era and you've got Vince McMahon and Stone Cold in the same ring with a chair, it's boom! Vince gets laid out with a chair as well. I mean, it is just the natural course of that era, and Austin even throws in a little bit of trash talking. Triple H then gets back into the ring and then literally gets the chair gut kicked out of his hands and gets whacked with another chair shot. And Stone Cold, giving no F's at all, just walks right out of the ring with that BMF walk. As Linda McMahon returns with referee Earl Hebner reinstated, giving Steve Austin a nod for showing up as The Rock's backup. Steve Austin at this point has paved the way for Linda McMahon to shove down Stephanie McMahon, The Rock to hit a spine buster on Triple H, delivering the people's elbow, followed by Earl Hebner counting the 1, 2, 3, thus leading to The Rock finally winning his 4th WWE Championship after a 13-month-long journey to reclaim the title. And who could ever forget the ending of Stone Cold Steve Austin driving his pickup truck carrying the 250 K's worth of damaged DX Express that he destroyed on the SmackDown prior to the ring, just so that he could share a beer with The Rock in celebration of his new championship win. Now, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock are my 2 all-time favorite pro wrestling stars, so seeing them sharing a beer in the ring to celebrate the occasion was an all-time great moment for me as a kid. However, this ranks number 3 on my list because, as mentioned before, Steve Austin was about half a year removed from spinal fusion surgery, thus making his appearance here from a physical performance standpoint very limited compared to our next 2 entries. Number 2, saving Team WWE from the WCW/ECW Alliance on the July 16th, 2001 episode of Monday Night Raw. When it came to the post-WrestleMania 17 heel run of the Stone Cold Steve Austin character, even at the time as a kid, while I did remain a loyal Steve Austin fan, as he was my all-time favorite pro wrestling superstar, like many others, this was not the Stone Cold that I wanted to see. Which is why when we saw him break the pool stick in half and walk out of the bar, we knew that the old Stone Cold was coming back. And what a glorious moment it was, as Team WCW/ECW was outnumbering Team WWE. In the parking lot, when we see the Stone Cold pickup truck pull up, and Steve Austin comes out with that broken pool stick and starts welling on all the ECW and WCW guys guys, beating them down. We knew it was on. From there, he walks into the building and proceeds to put out another whooping on the ECW and WCW guys. Then from there, he starts walking to the arena and the anticipation is building because we all know what's about to happen next. The glass shatters to Disturbed's Glass Shatters theme, which is my personal favorite Stone Cold Steve Austin theme, and Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out with that BMF walk, walking and talking trash to a massive pop, which leads to one of many great Jim Ross quotes for Stone Cold Steve Austin on commentary. Is it the old Stone Cold? Oh, he's talking, he's walking, the BMF walk. And from the moment Steve Austin runs into the ring and nails DDP down with a right hand, I'm freaking like, let's go, it's on. I'll never forget the visuals of Stone Cold just walking into a sea of humanity, striking down every single person he comes in contact with Jim Ross on commentary making yet another great call. The rattlesnake is back. Stone Cold Steve Austin is striking anything that by God moves. Then we are treated to a real-time Stone Cold Stunner compilation as this man stuns Sean O'Haire, Taz, Bubba Ray Dudley, strikes Billy Kidman, then resumes the stunner frenzy to Devon Dudley, Chuck Palumbo, Kanyon, God bless his soul because he sold the crap out of that stunner, and lastly, he stunners Tommy Dreamer, thus making way for Kane and The Undertaker to finish things off by chokeslamming Team WCW/ECW with stereo chokeslams. As Team WCW and ECW retreat, while we see Stone Cold Steve Austin standing tall in the ring with his fellow WWE teammates ready to lead them into the inaugural brawl, with Jim Ross going absolute crazy on commentary, nearly losing his voice to express how big of a moment this is. Man, this was just a fantastic moment. It's just a shame that while the follow-up to this segment could have been remembered as WWE making up for the mistake in grandiose fashion of allowing Stone Cold Steve Austin to turn heel, it's instead remembered for them using this as another opportunity to turn him heel 6 days later by joining the Alliance. Ultimately, when you look at this segment from an in-the-moment standpoint, this is peak Stone Cold Steve Austin kicking butt at his absolute best. If you only had one moment to share to someone not familiar with what the Stone Cold Steve Austin character was all about, and you chose this segment, I easily can see why, and I had to put it at number 2 because I felt the action in this from a physical standpoint just carried it. Number 1, saving Stephanie McMahon from the Ministry of Darkness on the April 26, 1999 episode of Monday Night Raw. When your daughter has been kidnapped by your current worst enemy, The Undertaker, and the only way to save her is by asking help from Stone Cold Steve Austin, who just so happens to be the number 1 person whose life you've purposely made a living hell out of, it's a situation that can only be described to the Mr. McMahon character and the words of legendary actor Bill Duke. You know you done effed up, right? Such was the case when The Undertaker had Stephanie McMahon crucified to his symbol and attempted to marry her against her will. Man, the storylines of the Attitude Era was wild. After failed attempts from Ken Shamrock and The Big Show to save Stephanie, just as The Undertaker's getting ready to unholy kiss Stephanie by rolling his eyes in the back of his head, the glass shatters to a huge pop, which means only one thing: Stone Cold Steve Austin is coming out to wreck folks. And boy does he, running down to nearly blast Median's head off with a clothesline. And I'll never forget the sight of when I was a kid seeing the awesome visual of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker in his cloak trading blows. It was always such a powerful visual to me because it's Steve Austin as a character showing that he is not afraid of anyone, even if it means blasting through all the minions and going straight to the final boss first. I also always love the subtle part of where Austin starts to get the better of The Undertaker during their exchange, then right as Median attacks Austin, you see The Undertaker kinda try to attack Steve Austin, but then he's like, F it, trying to forcibly marry Stephanie ain't worth it, I'm out of here, and he just dips. The Lord of Darkness just dips right out of the ring. Still, it is just an incredible sight to see Steve Austin destroying the entire Ministry of Darkness all by himself, by delivering a stunner to Mideon in the ring, then blasting Bradshaw in the head with a steel chair, then whacking Ron Simmons across the face with a steel chair, then quickly going out of the ring to blast Viscera with a steel chair as if to say you can get this work too. Austin gets back in the ring to put down Mideon with another chair shot to the head, then talks some trash and throws Mideon out of the ring. Wow, I didn't realize until I watched this segment back, it took 3 tries for Steve Austin to finally put Mideon down. He was stubborn, leaving the entire Ministry of Darkness embarrassed with a furious leader because they all just got their butts lit up by one man. Woo! These were the types of moments that got you hyped up as a Stone Cold fan in the Attitude Era. Now, Jim Ross's commentary always adds a lot, but this particular quote added a lot to the Steve Austin character. He didn't do this for Vince McMahon. I guarantee you he did this because it was the right thing to do. For as much as he lived by the motto DTA, for as much as he hated his rival Vince McMahon, this segment at the end of the day showed that the Stone Cold character did have a heart for at least the innocent, or at least sometimes. Speaking of innocent, back when Stephanie McMahon's character was an innocent young woman on these shows, because we all know not too long after the storyline she would become nearly as evil as her father, thus leading Stone Cold having to put her down with a stunner too. However, I feel to this day one of the most wholesome moments I've seen on WWE programming is Stephanie McMahon hugging Stone Cold Steve Austin because he was her hero in this moment. Yet Austin does not want to show emotion due to wanting to preserve his toughest SOB persona, so he doesn't hug her back nor tries to push Stephanie off of him, realizing that she's just an innocent person who was caught up in this evil plot to get to her father. And honestly, one of the best storytelling visuals is when Stephanie McMahon hugs her father, and Steve Austin and Vince McMahon both have this glare at one another that speaks so much louder than anything they could say on the microphone. Austin's look saying, I still hate you, but I couldn't sit back and watch them take advantage of your innocent daughter that way. With Vince McMahon's look saying, I know you didn't have to do this, but you did, and thank you. In that moment, it was some of WWE's best storytelling. The fact that you would have two people that hate one another, but yet would not let their hatred be so bad to the point that it stops them from doing the right thing. That is powerful stuff. And of course, this was all just one big ploy for Vince McMahon to be revealed as the higher power with the, it's me, Austin, it was me all along, Austin. But still, it did big business for WWE. Undertaker and Steve Austin's rivalry on Monday Night Raw ended up getting, with their main event, the biggest WWE Monday Night Raw ratings of all time, one that has yet to be surpassed as of this recording. And we still got tons of great moments of Austin versus McMahon as the 1997 to 1999 portion of their feud came to a satisfying conclusion. Also, WWE business during the rest of the Attitude Era would continue to be at an all-time high. This segment was the perfect blend of all-time great Stone Cold butt-kicking action and great storytelling, and with all the success that it led afterwards, hands down had to be #1 on my list, as it is one of my favorite moments in WWE history. Now, these were just 4 of many great moments that Stone Cold Steve Austin has provided us throughout his entire career, and that's the bottom line, because the legacy that Stone Cold Steve Austin left on professional wrestling will forever say so.